Hey, make sure to leave a comment about a fat guy wearing a striped shirt. Fat guys aren't supposed to wear striped shirts? Wonderful. Hello, my name is Ken. I'm the world's biggest GFX fan. I've owned all the cameras. I own all the lenses. I don't own this new 35-70 kit lens yet. However, I saved the review for this lens for the video after this one, if that's okay with you. Yeah. So, let's get to it. Yeah, I had a lot of people barking at me on this one. It's like, why haven't you tested it yet? It's like, yeah, I know. If I could have got my hands on it sooner, I would have tested it sooner. This is a new GFX50S Mark II. I was an owner of the GFX50S fine camera. The only reason I sold it off was because I had too many GFX cameras. Currently the camera only is $4,000 or $4,500 with this new 35-70 kit lens, which of course is an equivalent to like a 28 to 55 millimeter. It's f4.5 to f5.6. I like to talk about not the lens in this video since this is the camera review. As an owner of every GFX camera, have owned, I mean I don't still own them all. Still own the GFX50R, GFX100S. I have a unique perspective also too, all the GF lenses, on what this camera is and what it isn't. People will say, the camera's great or it's horrible. I always ask the question, you know, compared to what? And that of course is an important question to have. Obviously it still is the same 51 plus megapixel sensor found in the original GFX50S, and also too my favorite camera of all time, the GFX50R. And I know the 50R is essentially a brick, but you stick on the hand strap made by Fujifilm on there, then it doesn't become an issue. Obviously, basically everybody approves this type of grip better than the grip that's found on the 50R, and I'm certainly in agreement with that, even though that's my favorite camera of all time. You of course don't have a removable viewfinder anymore. You had to have the tilting adapter, which is a $500 hinge that actually takes the EVF for, and that is wonderful for like getting low. You could actually bring the viewfinder, the EVF up like a snorkel. You could get down low, you could get at odd angles, and it's really helpful for product photography. So, but that was their first camera, and so doing that kind of splurge on that, and of course the GFX 100, you know, is understood. It does make it a more fragile camera. It doesn't make it, definitely it makes it more prone to weather issues. However, even though these are weather-sealed cameras, no camera is actually weatherproof. No medium format camera has ever been lauded by any camera company that I know of as being, you know, equivalent to say like a Nikon D3, D4, D5 for, you know, hauling out in the extreme ruggedness. However, Fujifilm actually lauds these cameras for that. Someone on Mount Everest, I forget what it was, they had the GFX100S, and Fujifilm was touting the fact that, hey, here's the guy on Mount Everest with the camera. What a camera can do and what you should do with it, of course, two different things. The build quality is excellent. I need to mention that the new GFX50S Mark II is made in Japan, as you can actually see right here. I'm sure you can't see that obviously, but it is made in Japan. They did move the top display light to a more accurate location. They also, too, stuck on a superior joystick with more surface area that's a lot grippier, especially if your hands are slightly wet or they're sweaty, or if you have gloved hands, it's a lot easier to manipulate, so Fujifilm did listen on that. They also, too, moved the viewfinder adjustment button to a better place right here. What is this camera? And then let's review it. I mean, I don't need to talk endlessly about this camera. It is the original sensor with IBIS. I've said this before many countless times. There's not a single person on this earth with 2 brain cells that's ever complained about the image output from the 50S or the 50R or this camera, which are both the same sensor. Well, that sensor's been around a really long time. So what? The image output's incredible. It's medium format, it's 51 megapixels. I know of nobody on this earth that's ever complained about it. There might have been a couple, you know, less than sane people complain. Not that I could recall, but to know. Does the sensor on the GFX 100, 100S have better low light, high ISO performance? It does. It does indeed. However, medium format for product photography, interior, and some other stuff is geared towards flash photography. Is that really an issue? No, it's not. You have so much latitude on the raw files for image processing in Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One, etc. Medium format gives you that elbow room and that latitude. That's the one thing I keep telling everybody, and everybody picks up a medium format camera is like, oh my God, I didn't know what you meant until now. I have the raw file here on my 27-inch display, and I have so much more latitude and elbow room for cropping and still have an enormous amount of detail left over. It's just an enormous amount of latitude and elbow room for editing the image. So, what is the GFX50S Mark II versus that of the original GFX50? Obviously, it's a cheaper, improved version, cheaper in price, not cheaper in manufacture. There's absolutely nothing. It's actually made a little bit better than the original GFX50S in many ways. Cheaper in price, improved version of the GFX50S with the same sensor on an IBIS mech. You do have, of course, a non-removable viewfinder. Downsides and upsides to that, you don't need the tilting adapter anymore, which is another $500. It does make the camera more robust against the elements, if that's the thing that you're concerned about, which I never have been, honestly, never have been. Greatly improved video functionality, and of course for IBIS, absolutely amazing. I've never, and I've said this and I still say this, I never have needed IBIS for any conventional camera. It is an issue on medium format. Why is it an issue? And nobody else on YouTube talks about this fact. Is that because the same exposure takes longer on medium format, and that confuses people. They think I'm lying. Why does the same exposure take longer on medium format? Because exposure time is not the same thing as time to complete that exposure time. It takes, listen closely, and this is a fact, it takes longer, for example, to do 1/60th of a second of exposure on any medium format camera, regardless of sensor size, than it does on a full frame or crop sensor camera. Yeah? That is exposure time, not the time to complete that exposure. Yeah? You have the front curtain and the second curtain, basically a moving slit across the sensor. Depending on what shutter speed it is, it takes longer to do it. So shutter shake is more of an issue on medium format. That's not my opinion. That's a hardcore, undeniable fact. So with the advent of IBIS on this, that is very helpful for medium format, for low light, high ISO performance where you want to do a handheld shot, say at 1/10 or 1/15th of a second. The fact that if you told this to people 10 years ago that you could do, well, I could do easily 90% success of handheld medium format shots at 1/10 of a second. They say, that's ridiculous, man. I mean, the camera is more susceptible to shake big time on medium format, but you can now. So, before giving the absolute rating, and keep this video short, sweet, and simple, about what this camera is. This is the best value professional camera on earth for hardcore product, landscape, and even street photography and portraiture. Best value professional camera on earth that I can think of. There's not another one. Medium format for $4,000 or $4,500 for this kit lens. Nothing else comes that close. Nothing. I give this camera literally a 10 out of 10. The iterations that Fujifilm has gone through with the GFX50S, the GFX100, the GFX50R, the GFX100S, and now this camera. Many little things have been adjusted and tweaked. We have a better spring suspension system on the actual sensor mech, but also too, now IBIS, and a $4,000 medium format camera. If I said just a few years ago that, there's going to be a IBIS mount medium format camera, very robust, very well made in Japan no less, for $4,000, you would have said I was insane. But here it is. So I can actually say, and not paid by Fujifilm or compensated by them at all, that this is my pick for the best value professional camera on earth. No, obviously not for hardcore sports action wildlife. Someone's going to leave that comment. Well, this medium format's nowhere near as fast as any fast Nikon or D850 or D5 or D6 or any Sony A7 Mark X. You're right, it's not. It's medium format. It's a giant earth mover of photography. Yeah? It's a giant earth mover. It's the world's fastest medium format camera, but the world's fastest medium format camera is still relatively slow to any decent fast full frame or crop sensor camera. I know this fact, okay? I've owned many, countless cameras. So yes, the best value, bar none, a 10 out of 10 rating, professional medium format camera on earth. period. 4,000 bucks. You get this wonderful beast with incredible ergos, improvements as the 4th iteration medium format camera from Fujifilm. For 4,000 bucks, you get this 51 megapixels in medium format on an IBIS Mac. What on earth could you complain about? I take that back. Someone's always going to complain about something. I'll say outright, even though I'm not judging this lens in this video, that's for the next video, that you are less than sane. You're definitely not sane if you buy this camera and don't spend another $500 for this kit lens. This lens by itself is $1,000, but if you buy this lens with the camera, it's only $500 more, making the whole package here $4,500. Absolutely, if you buy this camera, please God, spend the extra $500 for this wonderful 35 to 70 lens. Just, you know, if you buy it afterwards, it's going to be $1,000. 28 to a 55 equivalent, full frame equivalent on this lens. So there we have it. There's my serious, honest review of the GFX50S Mark II. Thank you so much for watching. And Fujifilm.